If you're still single, Venus may be the reason why. And during this live video, I'm going to be explaining exactly how you can attract the right partner from a fourth dimensional perspective. So let's break everything down. All right. So before we start, I wrote down some notes. So just to let you guys know, this is freestyling. You get what I'm saying? These are my notes, just so I don't lose track, because these videos do be long. All right. So in this brief video, I'll be breaking down exactly the reason why you're single, and then how to attract your partner or understand your relationship patterns from a fourth dimensional perspective. All right. So we're about to start this now. So with that being said, we're gonna be going through Venus through every zodiac sign, and we'll also be going through Venus in every area of life. So you might want to stay tuned because I will be talking about your alignments. And if you don't know your alignments, just click the link below and book a consultation call, book a one-on-one call, and then I'll show you exactly how to, overstand your placements and understand how to pretty much navigate this realm when it comes to love, specifically in this video. All right. So this video will pretty much break down exactly why you're single. Um, so let's do it. So first we have. So let me explain. I'm gonna break down the houses, and then I'm gonna break down my Venus placement so that you guys can understand even better. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna be talking about love and appreciation when it comes to your individual life. We're gonna be talking about love and appreciation and relationships when it comes to your values, your community, your family, your private life, your creativity and how you express it, your everyday life, your relationships, your desires, you know, things that you want to expand on, your career, your associations, your network, and also your dreams as well. All right. So we're about to break down everything. So with my specific alignment, I got Venus and Capricorn in the 11th house, right? So the 11th house deals with your network, your associations, social media, who you associate with, uh, being a unique individual inside them associations, turning dreams into reality by giving it a deadline, a date, because Saturn rules the 11th house, and Saturn symbolizes time. So giving a date to these things. Also, it deals with, you know, just being in new situations that you're unfamiliar with. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, I got Capricorn there. So I got Venus and Capricorn. Capricorn is um, career, your goals, long term goals for that, you know. So long term goals, and it also deals with legacy building and just creating and initiating new ideas and practical things in reality that you can build on. All right. So since I got Venus and Capricorn in the 11th house, what that means is that, the way I love and appreciate and my relationship patterns is based around things like who I'm associated with, things like building a network, things like building goals together. You get what I'm saying? Building a legacy together and creating a network through that legacy. So this is my love language. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, where would I find my partner? So I wouldn't find my partner dealing with creative things, leisure activity. I won't find my partner at events, concerts, stuff like that. No, where I'll find my partner is social media, social networking, associations. We might have the same goals and dreams and be in the same place at the same time. So that's how that would work. All right. So that's how my placements is, but I want to break down all of you guys' placements and we're gonna go from there. Right? All right. All right, so Venus and Aries do the 12 areas of life. So if you got Venus and Aries in the first house deals with individuality, how you're seen, and also um your personality. You get what I'm saying? So if you got Venus and Earth in the first house, the reason why you're single may be because you're focused on other people and what other people appreciate and what other people value. You get what I'm saying? And their patterns, and you're focused on how things work when it comes to relating to them and being equal, things like that. You don't want to focus on that. You want to pretty much focus on your own individual self. You want to focus on your appreciations, your value, and how your personality, your persona could appreciate, and that alone would attract the right individual in your life. If you got Venus and Aries in the second area of life, what you would do is the reason why you're single is because you may be worrying about other people's resources and how they appreciate other people share values, other people patterns in regards to their relationships and stuff like that. In reality, you need to focus on your own values, your own appreciation, your own relationship values, your own money, right? So this is how you would attract that right partner, that you would need to go to the next level in life. If you got Venus and Aries in the third area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on expanding outside of the community you're in, outside of your local environment, outside of just what you understand consciously as far as communication, outside of outside of like what you consciously understand. However, if you just redirect your attention and focus on things that's in your community, no, people that's in your community, communication, with people in your community, being on the same conscious level of people in your community. You may even meet your spouse through your sibling or something. But long story short, you want to focus on things that you're familiar with in your local environment, and you may even meet your spouse in your local environment as well, right? So if you got Venus and Aries in the fourth area of life, you may be still single because you're focusing on finding a partner in the workplace or building your business or career first, then getting a partner. No. What you need to do is you need to focus on what's familiar to you, being an individual when it comes to your familiar things you're familiar with, your family, your culture, your roots. So if you focus on that, you'll notice that you attract that right partner. If you got Venus and Aries in the fifth area of life, you may still be single because you're so focused on who you're associated with, and you want someone else to put you and connect you with someone that you may be in a relationship with. No, what you need to focus on is you shining as an individual, your values, being creativity, being creative, and then expressing yourself from a creative standpoint as an individual. Once you do this and be able to express yourself in leisure activities, creative activities, or things in regards to just you expressing yourself in a creative way, you'll notice that when you shine that light in this area of life, other people, your partner will see that light, and then that's how you would attract that partner. If you got Venus and Aries in the sixth area of life, Venus Aries in the sixth area of life, you may focus. The reason why you're single is because you might be focusing on, your dream woman, your dream partner. And with that being said, it's too aloof, it's too out of there. You need to focus on your day to day routines individually. You need to be an individual when it comes to your schedule. You need to be focused on your habits, your routine, far as your eating habits, your workout habits, just being organized when it comes to your values and what you appreciate. You might find your partner at the gym, or out to eat at a healthy place, or just in general, like based on your schedule and your route, you might find your partner like that. You get what I'm saying? So if you got um if you got Venus and Earth in the seventh house, you may notice that the reason why you're single is because you're too focused on yourself. You can't take your focus off yourself. You're focusing on how you're seen by others, and this is where you would lack what you would need to attract that partner. What you need to focus on is relating to others on a one-on-one basis. Yes, you can still be an individual, but when you relate to others, make sure you focus on equality, justice. You're focused on um, relating to them rather than just being your own individual. You would notice that the more you relate, the higher your chances is of finding that partner. If you got Venus and Aries in the eighth area of life, you may still be single because you're only worrying about your appreciations, your values, your relationship patterns. No, what you need to do is you need to focus on shared values, shared appreciation, shared resources, shared assets. And together, you guys have a shared desire that you can individually connect to. If you got Venus and Aries in the ninth area of life, what this means is um, the reason why you're single is you're focusing on finding love in your community. When you communicate with others in your environment, your local environment, when you commute, you might be looking for your partner and everything. No, what you need to do is you need to be an individual. You need to come up with your own individual plan to travel mentally, physically, and spiritually. And when you travel outside of that immediate environment, you as an individual will be able to attract that partner you need. So if you got Venus and Aries in the 10th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on things that's familiar to you. You're focusing on your roots, maybe arranged marriages and everything like that. But what you need to do is you need to focus on, um, your career. You need to focus on at work, or who you do well with when it comes to business. They say you never know. If your relationship work until you go into business with your partner. This might be them alignments for that. You get what I'm saying? So once you as an individual focus on your business, your legacy, your long-term goals, this would attract that right partner that you need. If you got Venus and the in Aries in the 11th area of life, you may still be single because you're focused on taking up all the shine. You're focusing on how you're seen, you're focused on being creative, and you're focused on operating from like a leisurely standpoint, casual dating and all that. No, you need to have a more engineered standpoint, engineered mind. So instead of trying to meet a person at a club or at an event, you need to think from a scientific standpoint, from an engineering standpoint. What gives you the best chances of meeting your partner? Where you need to be at? What associations you need to be a part of? And everything like that. If you got Venus and Aries in the 12th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on finding your partner on your day to day. It's super annoying. Next time I come here, I'm gonna bring a star link, but I had to reconnect it. We about to start back now. Let me see. Make sure that is over. All right, we good now. All right, so if you got Venus and Aries in the 12th area of life, you as an individual, you may be focusing on your day to day schedule, your day to day routine. And along that routine, you may be trying to organize things, be at a certain place at a certain time, whether that's a gym, the market. When you at the market, you may have googly eyes looking around. But what you need to do is you need to get out of that everyday mundane pattern, and you pretty much need to focus on your dreams. You need to focus on how you and this person connect from good trauma and a bad trauma perspective. You need to understand that you need to connect with your partner, like from a collective conscious standpoint, but like emotionally though. You get what I'm saying? All right, so that's Venus and Aries through the 12 areas of life. Yeah, that's Venus and Aries through the 12 areas of life, right? That's breaking down why you may be single and how it increases your chances of finding the correct spouse. Now we're going to go through Venus and Taurus through the 12 hours of life. You know what I'm saying? Double tap that screen, like the video, subscribe. We got videos coming every day, philosophy videos, where we're working out the mind, and workout videos, calisthenic videos where we're working out the body Everybody has a mind, everybody has a body, so this content is for everybody. Go ahead and double tap that screen, like the video, and subscribe. Comment your natal chart below, and I'll go ahead and give you a free reading. All right. So, with that being said, if you got Venus and Taurus, we're gonna go through the 12 areas of life. Taurus is your appreciations, your values, your relationship patterns. You get what I'm saying? Money, things like that. So let's break this down. So, if to sum it up, right, you know, Venus reveals how you attract love, your relationship patterns, romantic desires, self worth, pleasure, and also how you make money or how things appreciate over time and become valuable so that you can give it a dollar sign. You get what I'm saying? So, with that being said, if you got Venus and Aries, if you got Venus and Taurus in the first area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on relating to others on a one-on-one basis, and you're focused on equality and being fair, when it comes to your values and stuff like that. And when you relate to others, you may sometimes disregard your self-worth. Now, what you need to focus on your personal life, your individuality, and how you come across and seen from the outside looking in. You get what I'm saying? So for example, I'm an Aquarius rising. I have Aquarius in the first house. So when people see me, they need to see you know, they need to know me for having goals, being modern, being tech savvy. You get what I'm saying? Being able to network as an individual, having a large network, things like that. Being an individual inside of groups. So let's break you guys down. So with that being said, you got Venus and Taurus in the first house. How you would find that partner? Just focusing on your own self worth. Focus on your own appearance and how that appreciate over time. Build your character up, and then your partner will pretty much be attracted to you as well. All right. So if you got Venus and Taurus in a second area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on other people appreciations and other people's self worth and other people valuables, other people assets, how other people make money. No, you need to focus on how your own self worth, your own appreciations, your own values. And once you do that, then you'll pretty much be able to know if what's valuable and what's not, what's going to grow in a healthy way without growing pains. Then from there, you can pretty much attract your right partner you need. All right. So if you got Venus in the third area of your life and Taurus, you may still be single because you're focusing on like international dating. You're probably focusing on like dating outside of your culture. You might focus on dating outside of your community. You get what I'm saying? And what you'll understand is if you simply just focus on your the valuable things, people, places, and things inside your own community, where people communicate. You get what I'm saying? Even when you're commuting locally, you may run across your partner. If you got Venus and Taurus in the fourth area of life, you may still be single because you're worrying about your career all the time. You get what I'm saying? Maybe you're a boss babe, what they call. You get what I'm saying? Or maybe you're a guy that's just focusing on building your legacy and all of that. No, what you need to focus on is your roots, how you was brought up, what's relative to you. You get what I'm saying? And what's familiar to you. Once you're able to do that and you're able to see what's valuable in your own personal private life, then you'll be able to include others in that space, that privacy that you call home. If you got Venus and Taurus in the fifth area of your life, you may still be single because you're focused on who you're associated with, people connecting you with someone to date, social media, all that. No, you don't need to be doing none of that. What you need to do is you need to focus on creativity, arts, leisure activity like going to concerts, going to art museums and stuff like that, painting, going to like paint and stuff. Then you would notice that you would attract your partner and or, you know, your partner, you would meet your partner at these places. If you got Venus and Taurus in the sixth area of life, you may still be single because you're too dreamy, you're too aloof, you're too trauma. But what you need to do is you need to just focus on your everyday life. Get out the clouds, get organized, get a day-to-day routine and schedule, right? And then once you're organized, once you have the right eating habits, once you have the right workout habits, then you'll notice that your partner have is in alignment with you, and then this will make the relationship compatible. If you got Venus and Taurus in the seventh area of life, what this means is that the reason why you're single is because you may just be selfish, focusing on your own values, your own appreciation, your own image, or how you come across to others. You get what I'm saying? What you need to focus on is, relating to others on a one-on-one basis. You need to focus on equality first. You and your partner need to have the same values, the same appreciations. And then from there, once you find somebody that have the same values, just ask yourself, all right, I'm interested in this person, but do we have the same values? Could I relate to this person from a value-based standpoint? That's how you find your partner. If you got Venus in Taurus in the eighth area of life, you may still be single because you're only focusing on things you appreciate. You're only focusing on your money and what grows over time. What you need to do is you need to focus on um, a shared desire, a shared value that you have with someone else, whether it's a man or a woman. You get what I'm saying? If you're a woman, if it's a man, if you're a man, woman, if you guys have the same values, with that being said, and you guys can share that, this is how you know this person is compatible with you. If you got Venus and Taurus in the ninth area of life, right? If you got it in the ninth area of life, the reason why you may be single is because you're focusing on people in your a local environment, commuting in your like domestically in your country or your local environment. Talking to people and having mundane conversations where people just regurgitating information. What you want to do is you want to avoid that. You want to expand beyond the borders of your own environment. You want to travel outside of your community, outside of your culture, and then from there you'll be able to understand that everything is not based on locality. You know what I'm saying? And also, even if it's not traveling, somebody that takes you on mental trips and spiritual trips where they can expand your spirit and your mind. This is how you know that person is compatible. All right. So if you got, don't forget to comment y'all natals, y'all signs, and I'll give y'all a free reading. Also, you got to double tap as well, like the stream, like the video. So if you got Venus and Taurus in the 10th area of life, you may be single because you're only focused on what's familiar to you. What you need to do is you need to step out of your side of your own home, and you need to understand that things are valuable outside of your culture and outside of what you're familiar with. You need to be more public. You need to be focused on your legacy and how that appreciate over time. If you got Venus and Taurus in the 11th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on taking up all the shine, and you think that's valuable and you think that's worth something. What you need to do is you need to stop focusing on creative things. You need to stop focusing on trying to find a partner through doing casual things. What you need to do is you need to take an engineer standpoint. You need to be thinking like a scientist. You need to think, okay, what environment, what association do I put myself inside of to increase my chances of finding a partner? All right. So if you got Venus in the 12th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on finding you focusing on your own schedule. You might be caught up with work. You might be caught up with being so cynical. You need to loosen up. You need to be more dreamy. You need to be more aloof. You need to be more connected with the collective conscious. And then once you connect with that, what you'll notice is that your partner may have the same dreams as you. So ask yourself, do my partner have the same dreams? Do my partner value the same dreams as me? That's Venus and Taurus in the 12th house. All right, so that's Venus and Taurus do all 12 zodiac signs and every all 12 areas of life. All right, so now we're about to go over Gemini. Don't forget to double tap the screen, like the video, and then from there, comment your zodiac sign, and I'll give you a free reading. All right, so if you got Venus and Gemini, Gemini it rules the COMM. Remember this: commerce, which is local marketplaces; community, your local community; communication, based on like how you understand communication from from your conscious mind perspective, right? Dealing with like stuff you learned in school or books. You get what I'm saying? Also, is dealing with your siblings and yeah, it's dealing with commuting as well, commuting locally, right? So that's the energies that will play out. But let's go through the 12 areas of life. So if you got Venus and Gemini in the first house, what you'll notice is that you may be single because you're focusing on meeting your partner in your local environment. I mean, you're focused on you're focusing on relating to people one on one and being fair in your local environment, and you're focusing on just relating to anybody in your environment. No, people need to relate to you as an individual. You need to already have your conscious mind at a certain point. You need to already operate in a certain way in your community. And when you do that, you'll attract the right partner. All right. Thanks for the like. All right. And comment your natal chart, comment where your Venus sign at, and I'll pretty much break yours down. This is all off the top of the head. You get what I'm saying? The notes I wrote down is just so I can stay on track. All right, so if you got Venus and Gemini in the third area of life, you may notice that you're still single because you're focusing on expanding outside of your community, outside of what you're consciously aware of, outside of stuff you can learn in school. What happens is you need to focus on your community, your local environment, traveling in your local environment. You might meet your partner when you're traveling in your local environment, and make sure your partner communicate similar to you in that local environment as well. Anybody that try to expand above what you're constantly aware of, this is proof that they're not compatible with you. You know what I'm saying? And this is unbiased, by the way, because I'm all about expanding. So I'm giving y'all perspective. I'm breaking everything based on y'all alignments, not with what I agree with, but based on y'all alignments. So if you got Venus and Gemini in the fourth area of life, you may still be single because you're worrying about your career and you're worrying about building a community in your workplace, or you're worrying about finding people that speak the same way as you when it comes to public speaking and all that. No, you don't want to do that. You want to focus on things that's familiar with you, your private life, your family. Maybe it's an arranged marriage. Maybe it's someone that have the same culture as you. But make sure that things are familiar. So if you got Venus and Gemini in the fourth area of life, you may still be single. No, I said the fourth area of life, the fifth area of life. So if you got Venus and Gemini in the fifth area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on someone that you associated with inside of your own community, and you might try to get someone to hook you up with someone inside of your community, inside of your network, on social media. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. You want to specifically focus on, um, you know, you going out here and having fun, being leisurely, being casual, going to concerts, going to events, going to paint shows, stuff like this. This is where you'll pretty much meet a person that have the same things in common as you, and then from there, this will makes the relationship compatible. If you got Venus and Gemini and the if you got Venus and Gemini in the sixth area of life, you may still be single because you're too dreamy, you're too aloof. Things need to be right in front of your face. You need to be able to touch it. You need to be able to organize a schedule, be organized. You need to be able to come up with your own eating habits, your own workout habits inside your community, inside of inside of your local environment. You need to be able to organize your thoughts and how you communicate with others as well. And then when you do that, you'll know that. You get what I'm saying? You'll understand that this will attract your partner, and this will help things be more compatible as well. If you got Venus and Gemini in the seventh area of life, you may struggle when it comes to relationships or be single because you're focusing on being an individual inside of your community. You're focusing on being that one that control each conversation. You're focused on you're just focused on your individuality, your personality, and how you come across. And with that being said, that may make you less relatable when it comes to things in your community, your conscious mind, your local environment, and how you communicate with others, right? So if you got Venus and Gemini in the Earth area of life, you want to pretty much So the reason why you're single, if you got Venus and Gemini in the eighth area of life, what you'll notice is that you're only focusing on what's yours, your appreciations, your self worth, your values, mine's. That's all you might think about. You get what I'm saying? And you might be the one that's like hoarding everything in the community. You might be a collector. You might just be focusing on your values, your appreciation, and your local environment. However, what you want to do is you want to pretty much uh shared worth. You get what I'm saying? And then once you do that, if that other person have similar shared desires as you, this what makes this compatible. That's the glue to this relationship. If you got Venus and Gemini in the ninth area of life, you may still be single because you're thinking too small. You're thinking only locally. You're thinking in your local environment or how people communicate that you're used to. No, you need to step outside of that, and then from there, you need to focus on like international dating or interracial or if it's not that, you need to have a partner that's expanding your mind, body, and soul. So if you got Venus and Gemini in the 10th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on what's familiar to you. You may be focusing on just family, your culture, and how you guys date. You need to step out of that and be more public so that people can actually see who you are. Once your spouse see who you are, they'll see your goals, your dreams, what you're building on, and how you come across to the public. And then from there, they'll be like, wow, this person know how to build a community. Wow, this person know how to communicate. Wow, this person know his way around. Then from there, you'll be able to attract your partner. If you got Venus and Gemini in the 11th area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on creative things, going to concerts, going to clubs, leisure activity. You get what I'm saying? And you may just be focusing on taking up all the shine. You need to get out of that behavior and then focus on building a network, your associations, or being a part of a network. Once you're in that network, you'll see the options you have to choose from. If both of you guys have a shared way of going about communication, and getting around, you know what I'm saying? And within that network, within that group, then with that being said, this is what shows relationship compatibility. If you got Gemini, Venus and Gemini in the 12th area of life, you may be single because if you're focused on just day-to-day routine, schedule, pattern, you need to loosen up, get out of that, get out of just trying to organize things inside of your community, organizing your habits and everything. That's cool. You need to have good habits. However, you need to loosen up and be more aloof, be more dreamy, and understand that you need to connect with the collective conscious so that you can pretty much understand who's right for you in that community. All right. So that's Gemini through the 12 areas of life and every zodiac placement. So I don't have to do no more videos on that. So with that being said, um, let's say the zodiac sign Cancer. So Venus in Cancer through the 12 areas of life. Cancer rules your private life, which you're familiar with because it deals with family, familiar and family. The reason why they sound the same, it's ironic that it both deals with this house. It deals with privacy. It deals with roots, your upbringing, what you're used to, how you was raised, stuff like that. So with that being said, we're about to talk about the 12 areas of life and why you may be single. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you got Venus and Cancer in the first area of life, you may be single because you're trying to relate to others on a one-on-one basis based on what's familiar to you, based on fairness and equality. Maybe in your family they practice equality, fairness, and just being just. No, you need to focus on, your own individuality, your personality, how you come across to others, and make that familiar. Become a familiar face. Your partner might walk up to you and be like, "Oh yeah, I know who that is." You get what I'm saying? All right. So if you got Venus in Cancer in the second area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on relating to others, and focusing on your own hidden private desires, and you need to get out of relating to others and trying to be familiar in this area of life. And you need to focus on your own values, your own appreciation, your own self-worth, and how your family and foundation relates to this area of life. So if you got Venus and Cancer in the third area of life, you might be single because, you get what I'm saying? You might be focusing on building a family overseas. You might be focusing on expanding mentally and physically and spiritually with things that's familiar with you in unfamiliar environments. You get what I'm saying? So what you need to do is you need to dial it back. Think. Okay, in my local community, you know, what person communicate the same with me, have a similar conscious mind than me, went to the same schools as me. Need to think like that because you guys will have more things in common. You guys will have more familiarity with each other. So if you got Venus and Cancer in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on networks you're familiar with. You might be focusing on private networks, private associations. Your social media may be private. You get what I'm saying? However, what you need to do is um you need to focus on shining. And how do you shine? You shine in an area when it comes to creativity, leisure activities like going out with your friends or going to a basketball game or going to an art show. And then from there, you'll be able to find things and people that's familiar with you. And then this is how you can find a partner that's compatible with you. All right. So if you got Venus in Cancer in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're too stuck in your head. You're focusing on dreams that you're familiar with, or family dreams that you dreams that you have for your family, and private, or dreams that you keep in private and dear to your heart. No, you need to pretty much be more down to earth. You know, the sixth house dealing with Virgo, which is an earth sign. That's why I said down to earth. You need to focus on your day to day routine, staying organized, staying healthy, being in the gym, eating healthy, having good habits. Being cynical and organized is the best way you'll pretty much find your partner, because you'll notice that you and your partner have a lot in common, and what it is, it's familiar schedules, familiar routines, and familiar patterns. So if you got Venus and Gemini, if you got Venus and Cancer in the seventh area of life, you may notice that you're single because you keep trying to nurture yourself, your own personality, and how people come across. That's cool and everything, but you need to focus on nurturing others. You need to focus on being familiar when it comes to people on a one-on-one basis, instead of just so focused on yourself. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus and Cancer in the eighth area of life, you might still be single because you're focusing on nurturing your own assets, your own resources, your own self-worth. But when as soon as you step out of that and focus on shared resources, shared worth, shared assets, shared things that appreciate over time, and you nurture these things, you'll notice that you and your partner may have that in common. So if you got Venus and Cancer in the ninth area of life, what you may notice is that you may be single because you're so focused on your own everyday mundane environment. What you want to do is you want to step outside of you, what you're comfortable with in regards to your environment, your community that you grew up in, your siblings. You get what I'm saying? That's introduced to you by your siblings, all this type of stuff. You want to just step outside of all that locality behavior, and you want to step internationally. You want to focus on things that's outside of your conscious mind comprehension, and focus on expanding mentally, physically, and spiritually, and nurturing that. Once you do that, you'll find someone else that can nurture that with you. So if you got Venus and Cancer in the 10th area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on things that's familiar with you, and this is a square, so it's a learning curve. You may be focusing on things that's familiar with you. You may be focusing on your roots, arranged marriages, and stuff like that. You need to just focus on your career, nurturing your long term goals, nurturing your legacy, your family legacy. And once you find someone that can do that with you, that can go toe for toe for you with you, then with that being said, that'll be great for relationship compatibility. If you got Venus and Cancer in the 11th area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on meeting someone at an event, something casual, maybe a club, maybe a basketball game, maybe just going out, or don't expressing yourself creatively. No, you don't need to do that. I know that's good, but you need to focus on your own network, your social media. You need to be focusing on nurturing your group, the group that you're a part of. Nurture your network, like build your network and nurture it. From then, 9 times out of 10, somebody in your network you might have compatibility with. So if you got Venus and Cancer in the 12th area of life, you may notice that you're single because you're too focused and organized on your own day-to-day routine pattern and habits. You need to zoom out and be more aloof, be more dreamy, so that you can understand what your dream partner is and manifest your dream partner. So That's Venus and Cancer through through the 12 areas of life through every zodiac sign. So next up, we have Venus and Leo through the 12 areas of life. So if you got Venus and Leo in the first area of life, you may still be single because you're trying to outshine the people that you relate to. You get what I'm saying? Versus you need to zoom out of that, step out, and you just need to shine in your personal life when it comes to your personality and how others people see you and express yourself in a creative way. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you got Venus and Leo in the second area of life, you may still be single because you're trying to shine light on people resources. You're trying to shine light on people values and shared assets. No, everything is not about that. However, you do need to shine light on your seeds because the second house deals with seeds. Shine light on your seeds the same way the sun shine light on seeds. That'll germinate things and replace seeds with relationships or people, places, and things that you value. Then, with that being said, that will birth that relationship that you need. If you got Venus in the third area of life, you may still be single because um you're trying to shine in areas that you're not even familiar with consciously. You're trying to expand outside of your community, outside outside of their environment that you're familiar with. With that being said, you just need to focus on shining in your community, inside of your school, inside of what you understand consciously. Once you're able to do creative things inside of your community or express yourself in a creative way and be more fun with things inside of that local environment, you'll notice that you'll shine in a certain way where your partner will have no choice but to see you and be aware of who you are. If you got Venus in Leo in the fourth area of life, you may still be single because you're trying to shine in regards to your career, in regards to legacy building, and in regards to long term goals. And that you might be a workaholic and just focusing on how your public image is. What you want to do is you want to just focus on your family roots. You know, you want to shine in regards to your your culture. You want to pretty much do fun things with your family or in your private life, and when you do that, you'll understand what partner you need to fill that gap that your family once filled before. So if you got Venus and Leo in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on and shining in groups. You're focusing on social network, like being like doing thirst traps on social media or shining online. You know what I'm saying? False perceptions. What you need to do is you need to focus on shining in real life when it comes to when it comes to expressing yourself creatively through arts, through leisure activity. You know what I'm saying? And then, for with that being said, you'll be able to track that partner. So if you got Venus and Leo in the sixth area of life, you may still be single because you're trying you're trying to you're focusing on creating dreams from like a creative standpoint. Like what I mean by that is like you're trying to manifest dreams, manifest that dream partner. What you need to do is step outside of that dream world, step outside of being aloof, and you need to come up with an actual plan. You need to organize your day to day life so that you can shine in regards to your habits, your routine, and just being on point when it comes to day to day activity. Maybe you meet your partner at work. If you got Venus and Leo in a seventh area of life, you may still be single because you're trying to shine individually when it comes to relationships. Now, when you meet that partner, you have to relate to them on a one-on-one basis. Both of you guys got to shine the same. You guys got to like the same things, as far as casual things, and expressing yourself creatively. So if you got Venus and Leo in the eighth area of life, you may still be single because you're only trying to shine light on your own flowers. You're trying to shine light on your own vegetation. You need to focus on share resources and shine light on things you can share with others. That person, the people that you share stuff with and have shared desires with, 9 times out of 10, you know, you guys shine the same, and this what makes you guys compatible. So if you got Venus and Leo in the ninth area of life, you may still be single because you're focused on your finding someone that shines in your local environment. Um, shines in regards to communication, shine in school. Maybe it's a star student, A student. But what you want to do is you just want to focus on expand outside of what you're comfortable with, outside of your local environment, and then think about stuff that's international. Think about someone that expand your mind mentally, and expand your life, mentally, physically, and spiritually. If you got Venus and Leo in the temporary of life, you may be single because you're just focused on things that's familiar to you, your family, how things upbringing, what your mom think is a good person. What you need to do is you need to focus on your public life, how you're seen in the public, your business, your goals, your long term legacy. Shine in this area of life. When you do that, you'll notice that you attract the right partner. If you got Venus and Leo in the 11th area of life, you may still be single because you're focusing on taking up all the shine when it comes to people you're associated with. Instead, you want to step back and try to shine light on your associations. Then, once you shine light on your associations, you'll see who qualifies to be in a relationship with you. Most likely you guys will have the same goals. You know what I'm saying? So if you got Venus and Leo in the 12th area of life, you may be single because you're too caught up with your everyday life, your everyday schedule, everyday work. You need to zoom out and focus on your dreams. Once you shine light on your dreams, your daydreams, or whatever like that, and shine light on, what traumas you have, good and bad, how you relate to the collective conscious. Once you shine light on this area and this subconscious area become conscious to you, then with that being said, then you're able to relate to others that have similar dreams than yours. All right. So that's Venus and Leo through the 12 houses and through every zodiac sign. So next, what we're gonna do is Venus and Virgo. Venus and Virgo. Virgo rules your day-to-day schedule, routines, job, you know what I'm saying, your habits, such as your eating habits, your workout habits, and stuff like that. We're gonna go through all 12 areas of life, so let's break it down. Venus and Virgo in the first house. You may still be single because you're focusing on organizing your individual life around people you meet on a one-on-one basis. What you need to do is you need to just focus on your personal life and how you come across others, and your schedule, your pattern may be at the same as someone else's, and from there, this is how you will find that partner that you need. All right. So if you got Venus and Virgo in the second area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on organizing other people's resources, other people's values, other people's appreciation. What you need to do is you need to focus on organizing your own appreciations. You need to be able to organize your own self worth. Not organize, but more so schedule things accordingly. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like watering. If Taurus is planting, Virgo will be like watering. You get what I'm saying? So if Taurus would be like planting the seed as an earth sign, Virgo will be like coming up with a schedule to water every day so the seed won't die. You get what I'm saying? So you need to focus on your watering your own plants. Once you focus on watering your own plants, someone else will be able to help you maintain that garden and replace the garden with that relationship. You know what I'm saying? So if you got Venus and Virgo in the third area of life, what you would notice is that you're single because you're focusing on expanding outside of your which you can comprehend consciously. You're probably focusing on you're probably focusing on expanding mentally, physically, and spiritually outside the community that you're familiar with. What you need to do is you need to dial it back and organize your schedule within your community. You need to pretty much have a specific schedule in your niche and local environment. And then on that schedule, you would pretty much meet someone to have a similar schedule than yours. And then this is how you would pretty much uh, you two will be compatible. If you got Venus and Virgo in the fourth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on just being organized and having good work habits, and being a good employee or whatever, or being able to organize and structure how you're seen publicly. No, man, you need to focus on your private life, so organizing stuff in your family, organizing things that's familiar with you. Maybe your family could organize an arranged marriage. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus and Virgo in the fifth area of life, You may be single because you're trying to organize and come up with good habits for a collective, for a group, for other people. You know what I'm saying? Your associations. However, what you need to do is you need to focus on organizing your schedule to where as though you can do fun things, you can do things leisurely, you can find partners at events that you planned in advance. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus and Virgo in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're too aloof. You're always trying to organize dreams, and you're stuck in like this dream phase, these idea phase. What you need to do is you need to get out of your head and pretty much focus on day-to-day schedule planning, routine pattern, your habits, and you'll find someone that's on the same schedule and pattern as you. All right. So if you got Venus and Virgo in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're just focusing on um you're just focusing on your own habits individually. You need to pretty much step out of your own self and understand that you got to relate to others in order to be in a relationship. That's why I sound the same. So, with that being said, the minute you do that and you're able to come up with your own come up with a consistent pattern and habits for you and that other person, you'll notice that you guys have the same habits when it comes to relating to each other one on one. So, if you got Venus and Virgo in the eighth area of life, you may notice that you're single because you're focused on just you're focusing on watering your own seeds. What you need to do is um, you need to focus on shared a garden that you can water, that you can share with others, that other people could pick fruit from and vegetation from and eat. You get what I'm saying? When that being said, once you find that person that's willing to come up with that consistent routine pattern and schedule to water things with you, and come up with a consistent game plan so that things can live long term, this is how you would pretty much understand that you and your partner have, shared resources, shared desires, or whatever. You get what I'm saying? And you guys can organize it appropriately. If you got Venus and Virgo in the ninth area of life, you may be single because you're strictly just focusing on finding a partner in your day-to-day life, finding a partner at school, finding a partner in your local environment, right? What you need to do is you need to step outside of your local environment and organize your own itinerary, fly overseas, whatever you got to do. But your partner would either be overseas or your partner will be able to organize their thoughts in a way that'll help you expand mentally, physically, and spiritually. All right. So if you got Venus and Virgo in the 10th area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on things that's familiar with you and how your parents told you that you need to date. What you need to do is you need to just focus on organizing your public image, how you come across, your habits. Maybe you was overweight and you lose that weight and you post online. And now you're public. You're showing your habits and how you went from point A to point Z. This will help you attract that partner. If you got Venus in Virgo in the 11th area of life, you may be single because you're taking up all the shine when it comes time to do creative things or time to spend time and do fun stuff. You're too cynical and you're trying to organize everything too much. You get what I'm saying? What you need to do is you instead need to focus on organizing stuff for your group, your association, your goals. Once you're able to focus on goals and organize things appropriately in regards to making your dreams come true by transforming your dreams, transmuting dreams into goals by giving it a deadline and being able to stay consistent with that every day and come up with your own schedule, you'll notice that you'll build a network, and then someone in your network will pretty much be compatible with you. So if you got Venus and Virgo in the 12th area of life, you may be single because you're focused on you're too focused on day to day activity, your own schedule. You're caught up at work or something. You get what I'm saying? You need to make sure you get outside of someone else's job. You shouldn't be working nobody else's job anyway, right? But would you, as a Virgo person, you guys need a schedule. You need consistency anyway. So with that being said, you want to look in the area of life that deals with your dreams, deals with your illusions, deals with your good and bad trauma, deals with the collective conscious from an emotional standpoint. So once you're able to organize things such as turning bad trauma to good trauma, Get rid of illusions by being practical. Um, Organize a schedule so as though you can actually accomplish your dreams and habits to help partners. Your partner will have that similar thing in common, and you guys will have that shared dream. So this is pretty much Virgo in every zodiac sign, in every area of life. All right. So you got Venus in Libra through the 12 areas of life. With that being said, Libra rules one-on-one relationships. It rules um it rules fairness, justice, law, linguistics, things like this. You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna go through the 12 areas of life so that we can show how to apply this energy to all 12 areas of life. And we also gonna talk about why you may be single. You know what I'm saying? So, if you got Venus and Libra, let me run through like two more of these signs sitting down. You know, so if you got Venus and Libra in the first area of life, you may be single because you're always trying to relate to others on a one-on-one basis. Instead, others need to relate to you as an individual. They need to already come across and be seen similar to how other people perceive you from the outside looking in. If you got Venus and Taurus in the second, I mean, no, if you got Venus and Libra in the second area of life, you may be single because you're focused on relating to others when it comes to their values, assets, appreciation, their resources. No, you need to instead worry about your own values, your own appreciation, your own self worth. Once you understand that, then you'll be able to pretty much understand who is valuable to you and who is compatible with you at the same time. So if you got Venus and Libra in the third area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on expanding and relating to people outside of your culture, outside of what you're constantly aware of. Instead, you need to focus on finding your partner in your local how you think. You guys need to think similar in regards to your conscious mind, and just relate in general inside of your environment, your immediate environment. If you got Venus and Libra in the fourth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on relating to others in the workplace, relating to others when it comes to legacy building, relating to others when it comes to your goals. Instead, what you need to just focus on your relatives. What is relative to you? How was you up? How did you have a like? How was your upbringing? Do you need to do an arranged marriage? You need to be thinking about that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And do these people relate to your bloodline in regards to do they have a similar culture to your bloodline? And if so, 9 times out of 10, you guys will have that. You guys relate in that way. If you got Venus and Libra in the fourth area of life, no, I just said that. If you got Venus and Libra in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on relating to others when it comes to your network or on social media. Instead, what you need to do is you need to focus on, relating to others when it comes to uh, creativity. You get what I'm saying? Arts, crafts, leisure activity. You get what I'm saying? And you guys need to shine in a similar way. This is something you guys need to relate to. If you got Venus and Libra in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on relating to others when it comes to dreams. No, instead, you need to relate to others when it comes to being organized. You guys need to have the same habits and like far as eating habits and gym habits. And that being said, you'll find out that you guys relate in this way, and this is how you're compatible. If you got Venus and Libra in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're trying to relate to people like using your individuality, using how you come across. In reality, these people already need to have something that you guys relate to, whether it's both of you guys believe in equality, both of you guys believe in justice, both of you guys believe in, you know, um, just being relatable. So if you got Venus and Libra in the eighth area of life, you may be single because you're focused on um just your values and how you relate to your values and your self-worth. However, you need to step outside of just being selfish and learn how to share values, share how you enhance your self-worth, and relate that to others. If you got Venus and Libra and the In the ninth area of life, you may notice that you're single because you're only looking in your immediate environment and what you constantly know. However, if you just step outside of that and focus on international dating or someone that expands your mind mentally, physically, and spiritually, and you guys can relate in this way, this is how you will find a partner. If you got Venus and Libra in the 10th area of life, you may be single because you're only focusing on what's familiar to you. You're only focusing on how your family up like raised you to date and all of that. What you need to do is you need to step outside of that and just relate to others in the workplace. Relate to others when it comes to business. Relate to others when it comes to your goals and legacy building. If you got Venus, if you got Venus in Libra in the 11th area of life, you may be single because you're trying to take up all the shine when it comes to relating to others, and you're so focused on creativity and leisure activity. When it's time to actually structure something, you get what I'm saying? It's not going to seem right. When it's time to actually build a goal from scratch, it's not going to seem you know relatable. All right, so um if you got Venus if you got Venus and Libra in the 12th area of life, you may be single because you're too caught up at work or too caught up with your own schedule for you to even relate to others. Instead, you need to be more aloof and more dream oriented so that you can relate to others in regards to you guys having similar dreams, illusions, similar even good or bad trauma. So this is how you guys will relate. All right, so that's Venus and Libra through the 12 areas of life through every zodiac sign. You get what I'm saying? I'm even fucking like I'm running through these. You get what I'm saying? All right, so if you got Venus and Scorpio through the 12 areas of life, we're gonna break this down. Scorpio rules your hidden desires, shared resources, shared appreciation. It rules how you manage stuff from behind the scenes, stuff like that. So we're gonna break this down through the 12 areas of life. And we almost finished. Go ahead and double tap that screen, like, and then share your zodiac, what placements you have in regards to Venus, where Venus at in your natal chart, and I'll give you a free reading. So Venus and Scorpio in the first area of life. If you got Venus and Scorpio in the first area of life, you may be single because you're too focused on other people's desires. When you relate to other people, you're too focused on their desires. You need to focus on your own desires, your own individuality, your own personality, and how you come across to others. If you got Venus and Scorpio in the second area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on um you focusing on oh, you focusing on other people resources, other people appreciations. Well, you need to be focused on your own appreciations, your own hidden desires, your own desires that you only you know. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus in the third area of life, you may be single because if you got Venus and Scorpio in the third area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on you have a desire that's far out of your reach internationally, or you may try to connect with people that think way broader than you. You get what I'm saying? And you guys won't be able to connect desires accordingly. You need to be able to be inside your local environment, your local community. Find someone to have the similar desires than you and your local community so that you guys can share resources and assets and stuff like that. All right, so if you got because you're worried about your public life and what you desire in regards to your career, you need to just stop doing that. That's cool to do, but when it comes to finding a partner, you need to focus on what's familiar to you. Find someone that know your family, someone that can do like a an arranged marriage or something that have similar desires as you, similar culture as you, similar shared values as you. Um, so if you got Venus and Scorpio in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on group desires, group resources. You need to step out of that group mentality and focus on how you shine, in this world and how other people can see your desires and how other people and how you can express your desires from a creative standpoint. Once you're able to express, and then you and your partner will be able to share them same desires or the resources we call desires. You get what I'm saying? So if you got Venus and Scorpio in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're too dreamy. You get what I'm saying? When it comes to desires, you have to get out of your head and you have to actually develop a schedule around it. You have to be in reality and water these seeds every day. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus and Scorpio in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're focused on your own individuality, your own desires, and how you come across. Instead, you need to focus on relating to others on a one-on-one basis so that you can understand that person's hidden desires. And once you're able to uncover that, then you guys will be able to share that resource together. All right. So if you got Venus and Scorpio in the eighth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on your resources, your money. You get what I'm saying? And you may be passionate and having a desire about this stuff, but you need to step outside of that and focus on shared resources, shared desires. You get what I'm saying? That you can manage behind the scenes, and you will find your partner in this area of life as well. If you got Venus and Scorpio in the ninth area of life, you may be single because you're looking in your local environment, your local community. You're looking at school, how people communicate. You can't be around people like that when you're trying to attract love in this with this alignment. You have to travel outside of your community. You get what I'm saying? You have to have desires broader than what you're familiar with in your local environment. Once you go on that journey, you'll notice that someone else is on that same journey, and you guys can share this experience. All right. So if you got Venus and Scorpio in the temporary of life, you may be single because you're focusing on desires that your family have, your bloodline have, your culture have, your shared resources that they have. You get what I'm saying? Instead, you need to focus on your public life and how you come across in the public, and also what resources you have, what assets you have, as far as your career, and build that up. Once you build that up to where as though it's desirable, then you will attract that partner. If you got Venus and Scorpio in the 11th area of life, you may be single because when it comes to taking up all the shine and being creative, you get what I'm saying? That's not how you're supposed to do stuff. You're supposed to be more group oriented. You're supposed to pretty much have similar desires as people in your network. Once you find out that people in your network have similar desires as you, this will make you guys closer. So then you guys can have shared resources together. So you got Venus and Scorpio in the 12th area of life. With that being said, you get what I'm saying? You may be single because you're too caught up in your own day-to-day desires, your own schedule. All this stuff will pretty much make stuff out of reach when it comes to things a relationship that you desire. Instead, you need to focus on your dreams, uh, your illusions, your good trauma, your bad trauma, how to transmute that. And once you transmute this, you'll understand that somebody else somewhere in the world went through similar things, and you guys connect in like a collective conscious sta- standpoint. You get what I'm saying? From an emotional standpoint as well. All right. So that's that's Venus and Scorpio through all 12 zodiac signs and every aspect of life. So we got like a few more signs, so we're gonna break everything down. So let's break everything down. So Venus and if, so we about to go over Venus and Sagittarius, and we're about to break that down to every area of life. So Sagittarius rules traveling mentally, physically, and spiritually. It rules first-hand experiences, not regurgitating stuff that's in books. Let's say if you wanted to become a pilot, you go to school, you learn what's in them books. You got to regurgitate what's in them books to pass that test. Instead, the minute you close that book and fly that plane, the stuff you learn in that plane that you can't learn in a book, this puts you in a ninth house energy. You get what I'm saying? All right. So with that being said, Venus in Sagittarius in the first house. You may be single because you're trying to expand on one-on-one relationships. You need to just be expanding your own individuality, your own persona, and how you perceive how others perceive you. You expand so big in this area that you're impossible to ignore. All right. So if you got Venus in Sagittarius in the second area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on expanding when it comes to shared resources, shared values, and stuff like that. You need to just focus on your expanding your own assets, expanding your own values, expanding your own worth. If you got Venus and Sagittarius in the third area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on traveling overseas or doing something expansive that's outside of your comfort zone, which you're familiar with and you grew up with. You know, with you and your siblings grew up with, and your local environment, which you're familiar with, and what you're constantly aware of. When you try to expand outside of that, this is what puts you in the gray area. You need to, instead of focusing on what you're familiar with, your local environment, commuting. You might meet your partner commuting somewhere in your local environment. But anyway, that's how that would play out. If you got Venus in Sagittarius in the fourth area of life, you may be single because you're focused on expanding your career and your legacy. In reality, you need to focus on your private life and expanding things in regards to your bloodline and your family foundation. Once you do that, you may could even focus on an arranged marriage and expand on that. So, if you got Venus and Sagittarius in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focused on expanding your network, expanding who you're associated with, expanding your social media presence. No, what you need to do is you need to focus on expanding and doing more things when it comes to creativity, expressing yourself when it comes to creativity, arts, crafts, leisure things, and how you shine. Once you can expand how you shine, you'll be a you'll be so bright it's impossible to ignore. All right. So if you got Venus and Sagittarius in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on expanding your dreams. Yeah, that's cool. You might be too busy because you're focusing on expanding your dreams, or you might be caught up in some trauma that expanded in your life. However, you want to be more down to earth. You want to be able to expand your schedule so that you can challenge yourself. The more busier your schedule is, you get what I'm saying? The more you'll pretty much know how you need to organize your life to expand in regards to your relationships. If you got Venus and Sagittarius in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're only focusing on expanding your own persona and your own individuality and how you come across. What you need to do is you need to focus on helping others expand when you're dealing with them on a one-on-one basis. If you got Venus and Sagittarius in the eighth area of life, you may be single because you're only focusing on expanding your own money, your own assets, your own resources, your own values. You have to not be selfish and focus on expanding shared value, shared appreciation, shared resources. You get what I'm saying? That's like when someone get married, they merge families, and then you get Venus and Sagittarius in the ninth area of life. You may be single because you're trying to expand inside your local environment, which you're familiar with, and consciously. However, what you need to do is you need to stop that and focus on international dating. Focus on focus on expanding mentally, physically, and spiritually. Once you're able to expand mentally, physically, and spiritually, you'll come across someone else that is expanding as well. If you got Venus and Sagittarius in the in the tenth area of life, so Venus and Sagittarius in the tenth area of life, you may be single because you're only focused on what's familiar to you. You're trying to expand your family, your bloodline. With that being said, you need to step outside of and how you come across in the public. And from there, you'll be hard to ignore. People will be expanding in the same way as you. What you'll notice is that you may be single because when it's time for you to expand, you're focusing on creativity, doing casual things, going out, finding people outside. You get what I'm saying? At clubs, at restaurants, at bars, whatever things that's casual. You need to stop doing that and focus on your network, who you associated with. Expand your network. Some 9 times out of 10, somebody in your network. You get what I'm saying? You probably is compatible with relationship wise. Sagittarius in the 12th area of life. You may be single because you're too focused on your job and trying to expand at the workplace and trying to expand your own habits and stuff. That's cool. You need to be healthy. However, you need to expand on your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Once you expand on your dreams, I'm pretty sure someone else will relate to that. All right. So that's Venus and Sagittarius through the 12 areas of life. All right. And through every sign. So now we're going through Venus and Capricorn, which is my alignment. Right. All right. So Venus and Capricorn in the first house. So Capricorn is deals with your public image, your career, legacy building, goals that you have over 10 plus years. You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna break this down through 12 areas of life to show you how you should be operating, and also why you may be single. So if you got Venus and Capricorn in the first area of life, you may be single because you keep trying to capitalize off of the people you're relating to on a one-on-one basis. Instead, you need to be developing your own character. You get what I'm saying? Utilize that Saturn energy to work on self development, so that when it comes to relating to Capricorn, and it's an appropriate value. You get what I'm saying? And then, with that being said, you'll be able to find your partner based on your own values, your own morals, your own principles. So if you got Venus and Capricorn in the third, and don't forget to subscribe. The three of y'all that's in here, we got these videos every day. We got philosophy, we're working out the mind, and we're working out the body. Today I did 900 plus sit-ups without stopping at all. That's the last video. So let's see. If you got Venus and Capricorn in the third area of life, you may be single because you keep trying to expand outside of your local environment to capitalize or utilize or focus on legacy overseas. That's cool. But eventually you're gonna have to come back home to your local environment, which you understand, and then in this local environment, someone will have the same goals as you, the long term vision as you, or be in the same career as you. You get what I'm saying? So if you got Venus in Capricorn and the fourth house, the fourth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on finding your partner in your career and the workplace. You need to stop that. You need to focus on your private life, your family, and building your family foundation. 9 times out of 10, um, you maybe can do a conservative arranged marriage. So you got Venus and Capricorn in the fifth area of life. You may be single because you're focusing on utilizing your networks, your associations, people that have similar goals as you. You need to step outside of that and loosen up. Be more of a creative type of person. Be more leisurely. Focus on how you shine in these areas, and then you'll be able to attract a partner. If you got Venus and Capricorn in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're too dreamy, you're too aloof, you're too um, you're too used to utilizing even good and bad trauma. You're too used to utilizing a collective consciousness from an emotional standpoint and being a boss of your dreams. You need to focus on more so your day-to-day routine, your day-to-day patterns, your schedule. Be the boss of your own schedule first. Once you do that, you'll notice that your schedule puts you right on the path with someone you're compatible with. All right, so if you got Venus and Capricorn in the seventh area of life, with that being said, you may be single because you're only focusing on your own individuality, your persona, and how you come across to others. You may just trying to project the image of you being a boss, or you may just trying to focus on just building your character, self development. But instead, you have to learn how to build with a team. You have to you know how to build with people on a one-on-one basis. Once you're able to do that, then you'll pretty much notice that you have a good choice. You have good options when it comes to know who's compatible with you. So Venus and Capricorn in the eighth area of life, you may be still single because you're focusing on assets. You're focusing on your business that appreciate over time. You may be focusing on values that appreciate over time. However, um, you have to step outside of your own values and building on that to actually focusing on shared resources, shared values, shared appreciation, so that you guys can manage and build the foundation from scratch. 9 times out of 10, that person that you could do that with, you're compatible with. So if you got Venus and Capricorn and I was on number 7, 8. All right, we on the ninth. If you got Venus and Sagittarius in the ninth area of life, what happens is you have to step out. So the reason why you're single because you're focusing on your immediate environment, school, how you grew up, how you and your siblings grew up. You get what I'm saying? You got to step outside of that comfort zone of what you constantly aware of. You have to be able to focus on overseas. You have to focus on building your legacy overseas or expanding mentally, physically, and spiritually, or being with someone that can build you up mentally, physically, and spiritually. You get what I'm saying? So if you got Venus and Capricorn in the tenth area of life, you may be still single because you're literally just focusing on private life, or you focusing on privacy. But instead, you need to be more public so that people can actually know who you are. If you got Venus and Capricorn in the 11th area of life, You may be still single because you're focusing on meeting a person at a club, um, casual activities, stuff like that. Instead, you need to build a network. You need to build a network that have the same goals as you, that want to build a legacy. And in that network, you'll find someone with the same intentions as you. If you got Venus and Capricorn in the 12th area of life, you may be single because you're too stuck in building you're too stuck working for your own business. You're too stuck like in your own business schedule and routine and pattern to where as though you can't relate to someone that want to build the same dream as you. You need to focus on your dream life. All right, so that's Capricorn through the 12 houses and 12 zodiac signs, right? All right. So we got Venus in Aquarius. So Venus in Aquarius, Aquarius rules your network, your association, social networking, being a unique individual inside of them networks, turning dreams into reality by giving it a deadline, utilizing Saturn, or in other words, time. Um, you get what I'm saying? So this is how you would pretty much express that love, masterminding, teamwork, stuff like that. So let's break it down to the 12 areas of life. So if you got Venus focus on, if you got Venus and Aquarius in the second area of life, you may be saying because you're trying to focus on if people have similar shared desires as you within a network or within a group. No, you need to more so focus on your own appreciations, your own values, your own self worth within this group, within this within this network. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus in Aquarius in the third area of your life, you may still be single because you're looking for a partner overseas. You're trying to build like you're trying to connect with people online that's overseas and stuff, or you're trying to connect with people that's expansive mentally, physically, and spiritually outside of stuff that you're familiar with consciously. You need to focus on what you're constantly aware of and inside of your local community, and once you do that, you'll be able to understand, okay, these people is a part of my network and my local community. This is who I'm associated with, and these people will most likely be compatible with you. If you got Venus and Aquarius in the fourth area of life, you want to pretty much you want to pretty much all right. So if you got Venus and Aquarius in the fourth area of life, the reason why you're probably single is because you're focusing on finding finding your partner in your workplace, like and with your career and stuff like that. And if y'all have and you trying to work together with them in that aspect of life, no, you need to more so be private, and you need to be a part of a private network or be able to have the same goal with your partner in private as you do in public. If you got Venus and Aquarius in the fifth area of life, you may be still single because you're focusing on um doing group projects with your partner, finding a partner in networks and stuff like that. It's contradicting because this is a square, but you got to learn it. Instead, you need to pretty much be doing leisure activities, group activities that's leisure based, that's casual activities like going painting, going go kart riding, doing fun stuff that you can do as a group. This is how you will come across your partner. So if you got Venus and Aquarius in the sixth area of life, with that being said, the sixth area of life, you'll probably be single because you're focusing on building an association or a dream, or share your dreams a part of a network. You don't need to look at your network to see, okay, my goal is to be in a relationship. No, you don't need to do that. If you just focus on your day-to-day routine pattern and schedule so that you could be the best person to network with, the best person to pretty much turn dream into reality by acting that in a group or someone else can actually work with you on, this is how you would attract your partner. If you got Venus and Aquarius in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on your own individuality, your personality, and how you come across to others. Instead, you need to focus on you need to focus on relating to others on a one-on-one basis, and also ask yourself, do they have the same goals as you? You know what I'm saying? Do they have a large network, or if their intentions is to pretty much work together and mastermind? If you got Venus and Aquarius in the eighth house, You may be still single because you're focusing on your own resources, your own assets, your own things that you appreciate, your own values, right? Instead, you need to focus on what networks you have, who you're associated with, what resources they have, and have that shared desire as them. You get what I'm saying? If you got Venus in Aquarius in the ninth area of life, you may be still single because you're trying to find your partner locally, local networks, local communities, humane societies. You know what I'm saying? Um, humanitarian groups. This is cool, but what you want to do is you want to focus on international humanitarian groups, international relationships. You can meet people online. You know what I'm saying with this placement because Aquarius rules social networking anyway. If you got Venus in Aquarius in the 10th area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on your private life and staying private and not being on social media and having a private profile. What you want to do is you want to have an unprivate profile. You want to have a public profile. You want to pretty much, hold on. So I did 7, I did 8, I did 9. Yeah, you want to have a public profile. You want to focus on building your public image online and inside of groups. All right. So if you got Venus in Aquarius in the 11th area of life, you may be saying because when it comes to group effort, you need to do is you need to think, okay, I need to focus on group masterminding, being a part of a network. You get what I'm saying? Taking pride in that network and being able to fulfill your goals based on who you're associated with as well, and being an individual inside that association. In the 12th area of life, you may still be single because you're so caught up in scheduling things. You might be a part of a network. It's probably taking up all your time. You might be so caught up with your daily eating habits or your daily workout habits, your daily routines that you don't even have time to build a network around your dreams, your illusions, what you need to sacrifice to make them dreams come true. You need to pretty much be able to do that in order to see what dream partner you would want anyway. So that's Venus in Aquarius through every zodiac sign and every house placement. All right, this the last one. So double tap that screen, like, subscribe. We got these videos every day. Every day we're working out the mind with these philosophy videos, and we're working out the body. Earlier I did 900 plus sit-ups nonstop. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have a body. Everybody have a mind. This channel is for everybody. All right. So, last placement, Mars. I mean, no, the last placement is Pisces, right? So Venus and Pisces through the 12 areas of life. Pisces rule your dreams, your illusions, what you need to sacrifice to make the dreams come true. Good trauma, bad trauma. It also deals with dealing with the collective conscious, but from an emotional standpoint. So if you got Venus and Pisces in the first area of your life, you may be single because you keep trying to connect with people on a one-on-one basis. Maybe they have a similar trauma than you. Maybe they have similar dreams as you. Maybe they have, they understand the collective consciousness, and you guys relate on that. No, you don't need to do that though. That sound cool, but you don't need to do that. What you need to do is focus on your own individuality, your own persona, and how you come across to others. You get what I'm saying? And you need to come across as a dreamy person that have dreams and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And y'all will connect in regards to y'all having similar dreams individually. All right. So if you got Venus and Pisces in the second area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on shared dreams, shared illusions, shared resources, shared passion. It's cool. That's cool. However, what you want to do is you want to focus on your own resources, your own dreams, your own illusions. As a Pisces, even illusions can be a resource. You know what I'm saying? Or even you could value your own illusions. You know what I'm saying? When you do this, you'll meet someone that have the same values as you. So if you got Venus and Pisces in the third area of your life, you may be single because um you're focusing on finding a partner overseas or expanding mentally, physically, and spiritually outside of what you're constantly aware of. What you need to do is you need to look inside your local environment and see who has the same dreams as you, see who have the same illusions as you, see who will sacrifice the same as you inside of this local environment. If you got Venus and Pisces in the fourth area of your life, which you may be single because You're um you're focusing on your dream career. You're focusing on um how you're seen publicly. Instead, you need to focus on your private life. Keep your dreams private. Be able to be deal with someone that's more private and more more private. If you got Venus and Pisces in the fifth area of life, you may be single because you're focusing on and mixing your dreams with who you associate with. What you need to do is instead you need to do things that you like from like a creative standpoint, express yourself from a creative standpoint. Once you're able to do that, you and that person will you know that you and that person will have the same dreams, illusions. You guys will have the same way of sacrificing. You know what I'm saying? But you'll do that in a creative way. All right. So if you got Venus and Pisces in the sixth area of life, you may be single because you're too dreamy. I know this is a contradiction, but you have to learn because it's a square. So you're too dreamy, you're too aloof, you're too, you know what I'm saying, in your own head. You need to pretty much be able to come up with a schedule, a dream schedule, you know what I'm saying, that you can pretty much organize your dreams with, you know what I'm saying, and make sure they come into reality. When you come up with that schedule, you'll see someone that have the same similar schedule and habits as you to make that dream come true. And then with that being said, that's the compatibility right there. All right, so if you got Venus and Pisces, if you got Venus in Pisces in the seventh area of life, you may be single because you're focused on your own individuality, how you come across to others. You get what I'm saying? And that may be seem too delusional. You get what I'm saying? So you want to just focus on how you relate to others and if you guys have the same dreams, illusions, and a way of sacrificing. All right. So if you got Venus and Pisces in the eighth area of life, what happens is you may be single because you're focusing on your own resources, your own dreams, your own illusions, and you know what you think is valuable. Instead, you need to share that dream. That dream need to be shareable. Once you share that dream with others, that person that take that dream in and appreciate it just like you and share it, what happens is that might be the person that's compatible with you. If you got Venus in the ninth area of life in Pisces, what happens is you may be saying because you're just looking in your local environment. You may just be looking at who thinks like you, or who talk like you, or who was in the same school as you. No, you need to step outside of your local environment to make the dream come true. You need to step outside of that environment to pretty much be able to travel overseas or expand mentally, physically, and spiritually. And when you do that, you'll be able to make the dream come true. All right. So Venus and Pisces in the 10th area of life. You may be single because you're focusing on building your family dream life. You may be focusing on privacy. You may instead of being public. Instead, you need to make your dreams public. You know, people need to understand your mission and why you connect with them through the collective conscious. Once you do that, people will be attracted to you, and then from these people that come to you, you'll pretty much know who's compatible with you. All right, so if you got Venus and Pisces in the 11th area of life, you may be single because when it comes to shining, you get what I'm saying, or when it comes to expressing yourself in a creative way, this is the opposite of what you need to be doing. You get what I'm saying? You need to be building a network, association, or building on social media, expressing your dreams on social media, expressing your dreams through who you're associated with. And these people you're associated with, you guys need to sacrifice the same, understand collective conscious from an emotional standpoint the same. And this will be how you make that dream come true. And last but not least, last but not least, Venus and Pisces in the 12th area of life. So this is Pisces house. So with that being said, you might be single because you're so caught up with building someone else's dream. You're so caught up in your own in that schedule, in that routine, in that pattern that you don't even have time to build your own dreams. Once you focus on your own dreams, you'll know that people they have this same similar dream that both of you guys can execute on, and this is how you can relate in regards to relationship compatibility. All right, so that's all the signs. That's Mercury do all the signs in every aspect of life. So you guys can book a consultation call if you want me to go through everything in detail. We do one-on-one calls, and I'll figure out everything that you need to go to the next level. I give these calls unbiasedly from a fourth dimensional perspective. Um, yeah, and other than that, if you want, I'll give y'all 2 minutes to comment your natal chart below, based on like where you have Venus at, and I'll break it down. But other than that, I'm about to read the comments, and we're gonna finish up today. So let me read these comments. Give me 1 second. All right. So these comments, you said, "Hi, hey, what's up? How are you, dear? I'm good." Yeah, bro, that's everything. We done for the day. You can comment your Venus placement, and I'll break it down. I'll give you like 30 seconds to comment that. But other than that, I just had to break down everything. This is Venus through every zodiac sign, every area of life. You guys can rewatch this video. It breaks down everything in regards to love, appreciation, values. How to track a partner. How to, even when it comes to money. You get what I'm saying? Because Venus reveals how you attract love, your relationship patterns, romantic desires, self worth, pleasure, and even money. So if you guys have any questions, or if you want to comment your natal chart, put it below. You got 1 minute, and then I'm going to pretty much be done. So for you guys that just got in here, you can like the video and comment where you have Venus at in your astrology chart. I'll break it down at no cost, and then we'll go from there. I already broke down Venus through every aspect of life and every placement. So you guys can rewatch this video. It's going to be public after this live stream. The screen is black because I'm done and pretty much reading the comments, so I had to take it off the stand, and now I'm reading the comments. So no one else commented. I'm gonna give y'all 30 more seconds to see if anybody else comment. And if nobody else comment, their astrology alignments or just any questions they have, then we're gonna end it for the day. Got 20 more seconds. 20 more seconds. 15 more seconds. Don't forget to double tap that screen. Like the video and subscribe. We got these videos coming every day. We got philosophy videos, which work out the mind. We also have workout videos, which work out the body. Everybody have a mind. Everybody have a body. So this channel is for everybody. Other than that, this is the last thing I want to say. If you guys, want me to go over your natal chart and get, I do readings. You just gotta click that link below, and then book a consultation call, and we'll go over everything. But that's it for the day. I don't see no one else commenting. But yeah, I just wanted to create some evergreen content that goes over everything. I'm gonna chop this video to hundreds of different videos, short videos, and then we're gonna go from there.